you learn something new and maybe some ideas for the future. I was overhearing the conversation, and that was awesome to hear how you exchange your experience and what you know. And thank you so much. And Tom, take the floor.
Thank you, Ola. Thank you. Applause for Ola as well, of course. I really like this technique. You call it a deviator. You try to go away from your original task because we want to do good, but now we have to do it bad. And the fun thing is that actually what you're doing, if you turn it around, then you've written a handbook that we all use in our daily work. You know, we put a program, we put it on the website, and we sell tickets, and we know how it works. But it's really good to just reverse it. And I also like the way sometimes you can also do it. How would a child do social media strategy? That helps you to go on other ways of thinking. Okay, that was that was the workshop debrief officially according to the program, and now we're going to explore some ideas, some alternative programming, curation, and new offers. That's the title of this moment. And I'm going to do the first presentation, and the presentation is I'm from Heerstraat Theater in the Netherlands. But I'm also a member of the board of Cineville, and some of you have heard something about it, but I'm going to do a brief presentations about it, and it's all started 15 years ago. They just celebrated their 15th birthday, and it started in Amsterdam. They saw that, I've got the clicker, of course. Good. They saw that, I'm going to stand here, that's better. They saw that they were getting older audiences, and that they're having very big competition with one of the major chains. They invented an all-you-can-see card, so people can go to the cinema for one fixed price per month, and they go to all the chains. And those were like 10 independent art houses competing each other in Amsterdam. And now they start to collaborate and to do a card like that. And fast forward 15 years later, there are 70 cinemas in the entire Netherlands. Zulea from Kinos is also a cinema from Cineville. Sleeker as well, right? And Heerstraat Theater as well. So mainly all the art houses are a member. I'm talking about the Netherlands. We get to Europe. And now we have like 2 million visits a year and 80,000 members. And to give you a comparison, from those 2 million visits a year, it was for a total of 34 million in the Netherlands. So it's a big percentage in going to only art house cinemas. That's a real big thing, and you could see it in the numbers. You know, the big major chains really had problems of getting good movies. So they were still not above 2019, and a lot of Cineville members were above those rates yet, and that's because it's a great system. So what is it actually? You could say it's a network of cinemas, it's a brand, a marketing tool, it's a community, and it's an unlimited card. I cannot discuss everything in the 7 minutes, so you can always ask for me or one of the other Cineville members here how it works. But I'm gonna say it's the network of cinemas. So we have like Sleeker here, and this is the most important. And for Zulea, this one is the most important. But we are all in the Netherlands, and we have a slight gap here in the north, so that's working in progress. But actually what we are a subscription model. People will pay like, I think it's on the next slide, will pay 20 to 50. If you're below 30, you just pay 18.15, and you can see every movie you want, as much as you want, in all those 70 cinemas. And that works for 80,000 people now. And one of the aims is to reach young audiences, and as you can see here, those are the ages, and those are the subscribers. It really works for young people. Any questions so far? No? Oh. And what the fun, it has a small delay in it. You have people who go 30 times a year. You have also people who go like 30 times a week. They are really expensive for Cineville, but there are also people who go less than 2.5. Oh, sorry, I have a little problem with this thing. Yeah, but I wanted to, but I touched the wrong button, but it's a good tip. So members will visit the cinema on average 2.5 times per month. And the fun thing is what I see in my cinema is that people will go to, normally they go to 2 movies, you know? They go to the obvious movies. But now they become more experimental because they already have paid for it. And it really changed our programming. We screen a lot more different titles a year because those Cineville users, they would love to see new movies all the time. So we really changed our program to it. We only have a 3-screen venue. And that's what I also hear from a lot of other theaters. And I was wondering, Zulea, what's the percentage of Cineville users in your cinema of the tickets? Do you? It's the biggest group. It's like 40%, I guess. 40%. And how is it at Sleeker? 40 as well. Okay. My cinema is a little bit lower, 26. But that's really a big. It's really important for our cinemas and for the Dutch Arthouse cinemas. You had a question, maybe for everybody?
Yes, I wanted to know whether they can book tickets in advance.
Yeah, it's a good question. They can book tickets in advance through the Cineville app or the websites of the cinemas. The no-show is an issue because people make a reservation and they don't come, but then they're kindly reminded not to do that. And if they do it a lot of times, then they can be banned. But and I know it's especially in the big cities that's more of an issue. Yeah, that's what I said. Members take more risk, increase in visit for both and big and small titles. It's also good for your revenue at the concessions because people think that it's free, so they take an extra coffee or an extra tea. I'll get to the questions later on. Yeah. Okay, then the finance, that's always the big question, of course. How does it work? Well, actually, 10 to 15% goes to Cineville. That's for marketing, issuing the cards, having an office, having a crew. And then the rest, 85 to 90%, goes to the cinemas and the distributors. So imagine you have a card that's $21.50. Then, let's say €2 goes to Cineville. The other 20 goes in the big stack of money. And that's what we pay the tickets for. So every time somebody shows their card, buys, quote, a ticket, we get money from Cineville. And it depends on the country where we are, because we have been existing for a longer time, and we still have some money left over from COVID, from Corona. So at the moment, it's like €9. So it's a fixed price, and you get it every week. We receive the funds from Cineville. And imagine if you have like if it's like 26 to 40% of your box office, it's a huge amount of money. And as member of the board, it's one of our biggest tasks to control the money, because imagine if everybody goes 2.5 times a month, and then that would increase to 3.5 times a month. That would be very expensive. But the other way around would be during COVID or during the restart after COVID, we saw that people didn't come as much as before, so the money was piling up. So that was really good for us because we could give extra money to all the cinemas and also to the distributors, of course, because they get their normal cut like it's in the Netherlands. Yeah, and of course, one of the other benefits is the data, because you can really see who is going to your cinema, to what title, what's their age, what's their sex, etc. So that's all, you could see it, and that's all shared, because we are a vereniging, what's the word for it, a union, vereniging? Yeah, we're a cooperative, so we share all the data with each other, so it's really good, and also for our, because there is a national marketing from Cineville, of course, but we also have a local marketing, or our own marketing guy also use the data of Cineville, of course. I was thinking with the other presentation, hey, people don't, you can slow down talking and you can breathe, and now I'm doing the same, actually not. 1 minute, very good. Cineville in Europe, this is the last slide, so that's really good. In 2021, it has been launched in Belgium. There is going to be a presentation of you tomorrow or Saturday about it. Cineville has been launched in Austria, and the next launch will be in Germany somewhere in 2024. That was my presentation. Any questions?
I guess you've heard about the same model about sports. For example, there is a Polish company, it's called Benefit Systems. They're very popular here in Bulgaria, like Multisport. Their business model relies on the idea that people who generally buy the subscription, they don't go many times, so they don't really use it. And what you presented was 2.5 times like on average per month, which means that the cinemas get more like something like €7 per ticket, which is very reasonable for them. Yeah. So it's justified both for you and for the cinemas.
Yeah, but it's a good question. But actually, Cineville has been invented for cinemas. You know, it's the aim of Cineville is to improve the attendance of quality movies. That's the official aim. It's not about making money or making a profit, but it's to raise awareness for the film and to get people to the cinema. So therefore, it's not a business. We would like to go. We would like. Whoa, my God! We would like that visitors go as much to the movies as possible. So it's a different aim. It's not about making profit as a Cineville. Is it an answer to your question?
Hello, I understand it as a cinema, and there are a lot of benefits. What is the side of the distributors that are several, and some even the producers themselves, and this kind of card, I don't know how reflects to them.
It really works well for them because imagine you're a small distributor, you have a small title. Then you have a large group of 80,000 inhabitants in the Netherlands who have a card, who are movie lovers first. They are experimental people because they can go for free to any movie. Free. So they go to the movie and then they buy a Cineville ticket, and then we get, as a cinema, we get their share, we get €9. And then the €9 is shared like normal with the distributor. So they are also very happy with Cineville.
Sorry, I have a follow-up question to that. Is it microphone?
Are there any cases where a cinema would take an experimental film and then there would be demands for other cinemas to program it maybe? Does it work like that as well? Like if, you know, the film is advertised in Cineville, but maybe not in all cinemas, would it be taken on by other cinemas or not?
Yeah, but I think it doesn't happen because of Cineville, but then you see the rates of the other cinema and then somebody say, hey, that's a good title, I want to screen it as well. But that's not because of Cineville, but that's because you see the attendance rates, I think. Yeah. Do we have some time left? One last question.
As far as I know, in Italy, it would be impossible to do the card because the CI, the agency that manages authors' right, wouldn't allow to take the money first and then sometime later emit the ticket. Did you have this kind of problem, and did you have to
it's not really clear for me what the problem is.
That the agency the state agency that manages authors' right and also the fiscal aspects doesn't allow to make cards because they say okay, because they don't allow money to be taken for an undefined number of tickets and also an undefined period of use. So it would be, in Italy it's impossible. You didn't have this kind of problems. It was already legal to do that, or you had to negotiate or to present a project to the... to the agent.
I'm not aware of Italian
agency.
law, and I'm not a fiscalist, luckily.
I mean, you didn't have this problem.
No.
You didn't have to
but
negotiate.
But I think it's more like a subscription. So
Yeah, but even a card like a gift card, a 20 € gift card, not even that is allowed.
Okay, good. We don't have that. You can have
So you
a
didn't
20
have the
euro
problems.
gift
It
card
was
for
already
sure.
possible.
So we need to finish right now, but we can come back to Cineville and we'll have a chance with Belgium.
And you can always ask me questions or so. Okay.
Or we can also shorten the break for the lunch if you want, but maybe go for...
Yeah, go. Thank you, Ola. Okay, then the next presentation. Please give the floor to Sara Horžen. Did I pronounce that right? Horžen. Sara Horžen. From Kinodvor, Ljubljana.
Thank you very much. So I was asked to talk today about the Cinema on Demand, the project that we came up during the horrible times that I'm going to briefly take you back, which is pandemic, of course. As all of the cultural institutions, also cinema was closed to the public. Public gatherings were banned. We had to stop our regular program. Audience activities were suspended, and we were facing like increased online competition with AV digital platforms who were offering films to watch at home. So after the initial doom and gloom and panic, we started to realize that cinema is not dead, that it will survive because it's important for film success and people always need to socialize. So as soon as the measurements were a bit like downsizing, that small groups were able to gather in public, we decided that we have to continue with our mission, which is keep the cinema going habits. So we started to think about how we can slowly get people back to the cinema so that we would create space, safe space for concerned people and that they would enjoy screenings in the movie theater. So we also did this in the partnership with the distributors. We were all on board because we all agree that films belong into the cinema, and it was a win-win situation because also they get their share of this project, and we actually didn't need any investments because we already had everything. Besides our big hall, which contains like 188 seats with a big screen, we have a small hall which is suitable for up to 21 people, and there is a small screen and a projector. We have projectionists who are employed in the cinema. We have PR people who are employed in the cinema. We have project managers who are employed in the cinema. We have ushers, we have cashiers. So there were no additional costs starting this project, which is called the Cinema on Demand. So we started to organize private screenings, which we thought that it's quite a luxury. You know, that you can come to the theater and watch a movie in a small hall, and you actually feel safe because people are then became spoiled for choice. They can choose their own company in which they want to watch films with their families, with their friends that they feel comfortable with, and also. We are curating like a list of films that are available for these projects that they can choose from our website, and they can select their time when they want to watch these films. But of course, we have to coordinate it with the regular program, and everything is by affordable price. So up to 21 people, it's 120 euros. Up to 10 people is 60 euros, but the price is even lower if you are a member of a club. As I said, we were all ready to start this project with the audience. We didn't need much of communication. We just posted one news on the website. Hey, hello, we have this option. You can come and watch the movies and feel safe. And actually, we had them at hello. They just came and the project started by itself. The team was all set, and for the organization, it's our job to keep the cinema going habits. So then it becomes, after the pandemic, this program became very popular. people find their different ways how to use it. They use it for like spending quality time with their friends. We have group of people, group of friends who are coming every month to see current film that they want to watch, because on the list there are current films that are also on the regular program, and they have like their own discussion in our cafe that they can talk about the movie. And like for celebrating events, for birthdays, etc. And also company use it for team building and networking. But I want to mention just, I want to just mention this example. This guy, he's a well-renowned Slovenian film director, Karpo Godina, and he took his friends, because they meet 4 times per year for a dinner. He took his friends to the cinema on demand. They were watching the movie The Taste of Being, which is gastronomic love story with Juliette Binoche. And they watched the movie, and they had then later dinner party with all of the recipes of the movies, and they had a party like till 3 in the morning. So this is one way how to use cinema on demand. And we learned that the demand is bigger than supply. We don't have enough space and enough time to do this. And we don't want to have any children's birthday party anymore, because they were too noisy, and the sound, the noise went into the big hall, and it was disturbing the regular screening. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, does it work? Yeah. No. Yeah. Good. Okay. Thank you. Let's go to the last presentation of this round, and please have the floor for Den Kratky. Den. How do I pronounce it? Put it for the record.
It's Kratky.
Kratky.
Yeah,
Kratky.
Hard R. Yeah. Thank you, guys. I come from academia, so I've never ever finished my presentation on time, but I'm going to try to do my best. So I'm here to talk about data, which is the either most boring or the most exciting thing about cinema. For me, is the most exciting part. This is a short story about a cinema in which I work in a city called Hodonín. This is before reconstruction at 2019, and this is after reconstruction past COVID. And there was a huge change in the management. I've been working there for 3 years since the reconstruction finished, and I brought to the cinema a different perspective on how to do the programming, how to do a data-driven programming. Just a short summary, we had a lovely COVID because we were closed for the reconstruction, so the COVID basically didn't touch us. We were planned for the reconstruction, so that was the best thing that could ever happen to us. Before me, the cinema had one screen with 330 seats. Hodonín is a city of 23,000 people, residents, just so you have some idea of what we are working with. It's a city of really poor quality of life. It's not a rich city. It's worth mentioning. But it made solid yearly numbers till the 2019, before they closed for the renovation. They usually did around 50,000 at the peak years. But before I came in, the programming of the cinema was very conventional, very strict. The screening slots were 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. Nothing ever went in a different way. And if you were screening a film for children, it would go at 2 or 3. But nothing flexible was ever happening. These were the right times, only times you could see a film there. There was a monthly programming, so if you misjudged a film, you had to live with it for the entire month. So, and zero statistics. When I took over the position of head of the cinema, and I sat down with the previous head of the cinema, they had zero numbers, zero Excel spreadsheets, nothing, basically. They were just winging it, right? There were premieres, and they would just throw them throughout the entire month, and that was it. So it was pretty top-down approach, you know. There was these big conventions, especially in Czech cinemas, that you program these films at these times with monthly programming, and there was no reflection of what the city needs, what the viewers basically needs. But the numbers were really, really solid. And the main task was to adjust the programming for the new cinema. which now doesn't have one screen but two screens, one for 200 viewers and the second one for 40 viewers. And also how to keep the same or even better numbers if we lost over 100 paid seats because of the reconstruction. Because we are a municipality-owned cinema, but we get money yearly, but it's only like 10% of the operational cost of the cinema, so we have to make a lot of money to finance it. What I wanted to do is to make the programming more flexible, more responsive, not just the monthly programming, not just the strict slots and stuff like that. And basically, the main task was to turn the crystal ball, you know, just the idea of winging it into some sort of a system that can be run for a long time. And if I'm gone, so I can take this system and give it to someone else, and they can run the cinema, make it theirs, but also there are some data they can work with. The action was basically Excel, nothing else. I just sat a few weeks in front of Excel, took different numbers from different sources, which was absolutely insane because there was really almost nothing. The only numbers cinemas, they don't hold spreadsheets, usually have, are from invoices from distributors. So you'd have to go back a few years ago just to get together numbers, the admissions, the different days and time slots and genres and countries, and make a huge, huge, insane Excel spreadsheet out of it. The main action was firstly implement a bi-weekly programming that turned into a weekly programming. So I can be more responsive, more flexible, and to react if some film doesn't work or some film grows long legs, I can bring it back pretty fast and not wait another month to implement it. Again, look for historical data wherever we can, which was on the invoices, or we have a central system in Czech Republic that works. It's not great, but there are some data in it, so you can extract it out and think about it. Look at the prime times, because every cinema has a prime time. We usually have prime times, you know, Friday, Saturday evening is the best time. But every cinema has a different prime times. There are cinemas in Czech Republic that can make work like insane prime times, like Tuesday at 10 a.m. and they have like 200 people coming in, right? So every city, every context has a different prime times. So I was trying to look back a few years ago to find those prime times for our cinema, and also to look below the biggest hits, because, you know, Barbie and Oppenheimer, they will always make huge numbers, but you need to look a little bit below that, below the films that actually, for us, it was, last time it was the zone of interest, because we are not art cinema. We have a small screening room that's sort of an art cinema inside our cinema, and it's the film that grew the long legs, especially because of the Oscars, and you can work with it long term. So see what films work in your cinema below the biggest hits. 1 minute.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Okay, and the biggest takeaway: make pivot tables. If you don't know how to make pivot tables, get some online courses on it. If you run programming, and think about the correlation of time and day and genre and time and genre and day, and see what works in your cinema. Make coefficients from countries that work, from genres that work, and learn how to predict, because every cinema is a bit different. Every genre works differently. Every genre works at a different time. So try to think about it. Add some sort of cross-compare the data with some variables, because the variables can be a seasonal factor, because every month is different. Every season is different. Holidays, marketing effectiveness of the film itself. Ask someone who might be the target audience of the film, just to learn how to predict, how to work with the film in your cinema. And that's some boring example. And to finish it up, the results are basically because we are a two-screen cinema, we are not a multiplex that can work just on data. We are still winging it. We still need to wing it and use the crystal ball, but also we need to keep winging it based on data we have. And these are the numbers we have now, and I hope it's working, because we went from 46,000 admissions yearly to almost 60,000, while the entire numbers for Czech Republic dropped 20%. So we actually rose around 25%. So I feel like the data-based sort of thinking about programming works. And that's it.
Hey, thank you so much. You were saying I've got a background in academia. What kind of background?
Film history. I'm no data scientist.
I thought
no. I had few courses on data science, which is the most important thing I ever did at university, besides, of course, film history. But if you want to learn, like, there is plenty of online courses, university courses on data science, Excel, stuff like that. And yeah, I have no background in that.
Okay, really interesting. We're going to skip the questions for time-wise, but feel free to approach then, of course, during the lunch time. Now, we got another presentation from you, from Wiechert, to do about AI now. Now I'm right. So we all heard about it. We all tried some tools, I think. But what can we really do with it? Or should we do something? And that's the topic of today. Applause, please.
All right, great to be back again. So first, a disclaimer that this will be a session you take more questions than answers from, and that's by design. I'm not going to hype AI up. There are a lot of sessions and websites and programs that do that already. This will just be a general overview on how AI works, how it could work for cinemas, and I'm really gonna be generalizing and simplifying stuff. So if you are a bit versed with AI, you might think, but that's not how it actually works, stuff like that. But it's just to get you all on board on the general idea, not the very specific technology. Just calling back to the presentation I did earlier, I ended with the Arthouse paradox about how to make the most of technology while keeping our identity, and you'll also see that this will be a very central challenge with AI as well. But let's get straight to it. What is AI? What are we talking about when you talk about AI? And I'm mostly going to be focusing on something that people call general AI, generative AI, not general AI, which is the thing that's ChatGPT and many other instances, but I'm sure by now most of you have heard about ChatGPT. And just to give you a very, very basic understanding of how this works on a technological level, is that for generative AI to work, you upload in thousands, but not just thousands, more like millions or billions of different kinds of data sets into the network, and then you let machine learning processes run through those kind of data you uploaded, and you train it to detect patterns between the stuff, like how are all the different data sets that have been inserted related. In the next step, then by the patterns the AI has detected, you ask it to generate something new. I know that sounds a bit complicated at first, but basically this process works that once you've generated something, you then tell the AI if the output was good or not. And from that result and the critique you did, it learns again, okay, this was how I should do this, or this was not how I should do this. And whether you know it or not, you've all participated in this every time you answered one of these CAPTCHAs. You've trained Google's image recognition technology into recognizing if this is actually a traffic light or not. So in terms of ChatGPT and how this works with text or images, the New York Times ran a great example of this, where they train an AI with different kinds of data inputs, in this case Jane Austen novels. They uploaded all of Jane Austen's novels, and then they asked it to generate text that started with this paragraph. In the first round of training, the result is just complete gibberish. Then every time the result ran, the output was critiqued. After 500 training rounds, you can see that this starts to resemble words. The letters are still in the wrong order. It doesn't make any sense at all. And after 30,000 training rounds, this suddenly becomes a sentence and a really complete paragraph that starts to make some kind of sense. The most key thing to keep in mind is that it's not that the AI has learned a deeper sense of understanding of how Jane Austen works on an emotional level. It just has learned well enough what kinds of words and ideas and stuff are related within that and can be regenerated when asked to. All right, and once AI models have a sense of or have learned what a kind of general concept behind something is, how the patterns work, and what the general output should be when they're asked about something, it's very easy to take the kind of concepts that they have a grasp on and ask them to apply to something else. In this instance, I told you about the puppy earlier. I've taken a photo of the puppy and asked it to generate a Pixar-style character image of this puppy using DALL-E 3 from OpenAI. And this was the result. And then we also basically touched on a few key certain things, like how does OpenAI know what a Pixar-style image is? But something that would usually have taken many hours of human labor to create this kind of illustration based on this image is now just done within seconds. And people call, or many experts call this a great flattening of work. It's something that would usually have taken a lot of work. People would have get paid for that. Is now flattened to a process within seconds. It's not a very artistic process. In many cases, it produces average results, not very creative results, because it usually takes the thing that's most likely to be generated, not very individualistic stuff, but it's a result. And with this thinking, you can now suddenly apply this to a whole kind of different area of work and jobs and stuff like that. And yeah, sorry. Really trying to speed run through it, so I'm gonna skip that a little bit. As I mentioned, just because they generate something, it doesn't mean that AI really understands what it generated. There was one instance where a lawyer used ChatGPT in New York to write an argument in court, and ChatGPT completely made up sources for that argument, not because it had an understanding of what the argument is, but because it knows, okay, if I want to create a law document, there need to be sources. And so it completely invented sources. I've also tried this for showtimes at Yorck and asked the Microsoft version of it what kind of films are playing at the cinema, and it completely made up films and showtimes that don't exist. Yeah, the only one, and I don't know if this was by accident or something else, but out of 6 showtimes, only one film was actually screening at the time. There was it, and then in the middle you have a completely made up synopsis of the movie Passengers, where suddenly Steven Spielberg directed it and Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep star in it. So that would have been an interesting recasting. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's no, it was the French film by Ira Sachs. Yeah. Okay, but the thing to keep in mind is right now AI is still the weakest it's going to be compared to the future. It's still the early days of the technology, and AI is growing and getting better at an exponential speed. So it's really hard because our brains are not wired to it, and the recent technological changes like smartphones and Facebook and social media, they crept up on us, and you could see things improving on a more linear scale. It would get better every year a bit, but AI is getting better at a pace that's just really hard to wrap your human brain around. And what I mean by that is, just to give you a few examples, in 2022, OpenAI released an image generator called DALL-E in version 2. And when I asked it to generate an image of an Arthouse cinema foyer filled with people, this was the result. It's don't look at the faces too closely because it's a bit scary and harrowing. But just 1 year later, the exact same prompt generated this result. So it got a whole lot better from this to that. And just for the sake of it, I also just asked it to regenerate this yesterday, and now the architecture and everything, posters, and yeah, it just looks a lot more real within 1.5 years. And it's still getting better. So Also, very recently released by Google ImageFX is a software that's really good at creating fake photographs of humans. And I would just invite you to guess which of these 4 people is real and which is AI generated. Maybe it's easier to ask who is AI generated in your opinion. You're right, they're all AI. And like, and like I gave a version of this presentation half a year ago. It was very easy to tell back then who was AI and who was not. And now it's getting to a point where it's getting harder and harder that none of these people exist. Also, just a similar thing, half a year ago, some video generation software where you would put in text and would generate video based on a text, just generated very few short-second clips that are very easily detectable as AI because the movements are off, faces are not being rendered properly. And I'm sure some of you have seen this already. Just a few weeks ago, OpenAI released demo videos of their new technology called Sora, which can generate video also based on text input. And I'm just gonna show you a few screen caps of that because it's quite fascinating and hard to remember that none of this is real. It's all generated by machines. It is based on reflections in the window of a train traveling to Tokyo. And I mean, it's one thing that it's able to generate like large cityscapes and stuff like that, but it's getting to the level where it's also able to generate more intimate scenes or scenes with lots of people in them, where it's just the camera movements and other parts that easily give it away as AI, but still this is hard to comprehend with like the image you saw from 2 years ago about an art house cinema foyer. Also gonna skip to that for a bit. That would also take too much time for now, but I really recommend you checking out this video. There's a YouTube channel that's just doing Freddie Mercury AI covers of popular current songs. That's quite harrowing to realize that that's not Freddie Mercury singing it actually. Yeah.
What about okay, can you hear me? Okay. What about the practice example of AI to make all photos in Pixar style? Group photo in Pixar style.
Oh. Practice. Yeah, I guess we could try that, but.
Yeah, we have a surgery slot later, so we could save.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's save the questions and the good ideas for the surgery slot. That's a good idea.
Okay, so I'm just gonna skip through that. So let's maybe get to a bit more film-related examples. There are already companies that allow for AI dubbing, which keeps the voice of the original speaker and natively adapts it into different languages. I'm gonna try if it plays. No, I'm afraid it doesn't. But also there you can check out deepdub.ai or doubly.ai. Doubly already allows public videos to be uploaded, so you can, for a fee, upload a video, and some YouTubers are already doing it, where you can watch the then YouTube video completely lip-synced and rearranged in different languages. It's crazy the pace at which this is developing.
But would you like to screen it? Because maybe they can put it in the back. They can put it on.
Yeah, maybe if you can try to click on the play link for the video. Could be that PowerPoint has disabled external sources.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Okay, so last step of the demo part, and it's not so much of a demo, but because I feel if you use Spotify, you know those yearly end stuff that's just recapping what you have done, what you've listened most to. If you think about the fact that AI is now able to generate images, audio, and video based on prompts, it will also very likely be able to generate content based on personal preferences by learning how people have reacted to certain stuff. There's already ideas about creating individual movie endings or putting people that you want to have in a movie be replaced by certain actors or stuff like that. Or some, I don't know, there's at least one TV station in the US that has digitally altered all product placement in one sitcom to be replaced by a different brand. So we will get to a point where people may get personalized movies, TV shows, and stuff like that in a near future. So I've already touched on a few stuff. I think this is a really, really big game changer in terms of what it does to production. We've talked about dubbing. At this year's Berlinale, you saw that some subtitles were clearly translated by an AI and not by a machine based on the mistakes that they still made. And yeah, if we just very briefly talk about this, how this might affect cinemas, I don't think we're there where we'll completely change our processes like it may do on a production part. But there are already services that for customer service let the AI perform automated tasks like replying to customers or rebook if you've canceled a booking, refunding the money, stuff like that. Based on the input, it's nothing compared to the chatbots from 10 years ago who didn't know what to do anything. Canva, in terms of graphic design, already has the ability to generate images based on your brand guidelines. For staff planning and other administrative parts, there's already software in the works that's able to organize your staff planning most efficiently based on input that the staff does. So it will take some work off of you by automatically coming up with schedules and stuff like that. And just getting back to audience data, there will very likely be much more sophisticated software that's able to make predictions based on past data that we're just not able as humans to run all those patterns and make those comparisons by ourselves and let the AI do that part. And yeah, that might also influence programming. But all in all, the question is, I'm also gonna skip that now, but just a very, very brief example where we've experimented at Yorck with this is we've basically uploaded all of our text guidelines into a custom version of ChatGPT, like how long our text should be, what kind of medium we need for what kind of poster, for instance, or social media copy, what's our guidelines. And now we can just state the film title, state what we want to be described, and it will generate text suggestions. They're not very reliable all the time, but they give a good start on what we could do and are very great to also if you have a long text and you need to shorten it by half, it's very, very useful. Okay, so getting to the but part, why are so many people and so many experts in the AI field afraid of AI? There was recently a letter by AI researchers that called for a pause of developing more powerful AI systems. Very briefly, skipping through this now. They're mostly afraid of something called artificial general intelligence, not to compare, not to be conflicted with generative AI, and that's the point where AI is able to improve itself without any human intervention, because no longer humans are involved in critiquing the output of AI. There are many scenarios that people are describing what could happen once that happens, also just for time reasons, skipping through these. But there's also the case for skepticism around these fears, because those fears of, oh, if we get AI that's super, super smart, it will wipe out humanity or bring nuclear war or extinction, is a very, very great thing to keep attention away from the very real problems AI is already causing today. I mean, there are already job layoffs being the reasons being stated for AI. There's the whole issue of how is, things like the videos you saw earlier, what kind of data are they trained on? It's very likely copyrighted data where they just uploaded entire movies or works of authors into the system without paying them for it, and now the AI is able to reproduce their voices without ever the original artists seeing any kind of compensation for that. There's also in terms of bias, in terms of gender bias, race bias in those AI systems, and it's very easy to just wipe all of this away if you're worried about extinction. So lastly, what does this mean for us as Arthouse cinemas? I really want us to step back a bit and just ask ourselves what kind of stuff do we want to use AI for, and what is our role. If you think like a few years ahead with AI being everywhere, it's very likely that Hollywood, for instance, is going to use AI a lot. I would guess that you don't necessarily need a human to write a screenplay for a Transformers movie. But the question is, should we, and to what degree should we? Because we don't know how our society will change when AI is everywhere. And I think it would be foolish to say, oh, we're just gonna avoid this technology altogether. But we need to develop an idea of how we want to do it. And that's getting back to the earlier example of the digital art house paradox. How do we engage with this technology without sacrificing our identity as art house cinemas? I think there's an argument to be made that the more AI-generated, hyper-personalized content and AI-generated spam is everywhere. The question is, okay, is the role of cinemas then just being a place where you definitely get art that was 100% generated by humans? Or is it bad if we state that because we then lock out all the kind of art that might be generated by AI with human intent? And I guess there's good reason. Just to give you one example, 10 years ago, Facebook introduced a feature where you could, with one click, automatically send a happy birthday message to your friends. And for like 2 weeks, people were very excited about it. And nowadays, when you get an automated message from Facebook congratulating you on your birthday, you feel like this person does not care about you at all. And I guess there's certain reasons to be quite confident that it will very likely be the same with AI. Once the novelty wears off, people will have a very different approach to art, especially that's been generated by AI, than they might have in the early months or years of it. And the other argument, again, younger generations today will grow up with AI as being a natural thing that's all around them. So we also need to keep in mind that we don't just become this irrelevant group of people who scream about the earlier, better times when there was no AI. So yeah, I guess the main takeaway I want you to take away from this is what I meant by this is more about questions than answers, is what is our role as Arthouse cinemas, and more specifically, how do you, as your individual Arthouse cinema, want to approach AI on a marketing level, programming level, but just a fundamental level of how much computer-based decisions do you want to have in your organization and in your programming and everything? And yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you, Marvin. Really interesting. Is it on? No, eh? It's a button. It's difficult for me. Sorry. Thank you so much. It's really interesting, and I think we all have to do something with it, or either decide not to do something with it, or and what to do with it. Was this interesting for you? Are there a lot of questions? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good. Because you're still here with us after the lunch, right?
Yes.
Good. Because we have I forgot the name. Sorry. A surgery slot, that's the name. We have a surgery slot, and the idea is that we can discuss more on this topic after the lunch. So my idea would be, think of it, what can you what can you take home to your cinema on the topic of AI, and then later on we can discuss it, and we can have questions. Marvin still will be here to answer all the technical questions, and so we can debate more on it and what we can use to it. Is it okay for all of you?
But yeah, so can you explain what do you
We have to invent. No,
Just put the question and we'll be talking.
well, it's more like going deeper in it, you know. So make an incision on AI and take out what we can and put things in, and then try to improve it and see what we can take home. Is it? And that's okay for you? Yeah. Okay. Are you still with us? Whoa. Ooh. Okay. Lunch hour. Applause. Yay.